This is LBC News. Boris Johnson is meeting representatives from some social media companies tonight to discuss online racist abuse, following the abuse levelled at some England players following the Euro 2020 final defeat on Sunday. A Downing Street spokesperson has said that Boris Johnson will reiterate the urgent need for action and for the platforms to assist police investigations seeking to identify those suspected of posting abusive content. What can be done, though, and does there need to be tougher measures in the online harms bill the government is bringing forward? Let's speak to Steve Kuncewicz, who is a social media legal expert and a partner at BLM Law. Thank you very much for joining us, Steve, on LBC News here tonight. What is the current legal state of play for people who are racially abusive online?
Hi, good evening. Well, actually, we have a number of laws that cover this kind of racial abuse already, based on existing criminal law, based on communications offences. So we've got a number of ways, if the police wanted to in particular, to step in and find out who's behind these accounts and hopefully hold them to account. I think up until recently, and even now, it's an issue of resource and maybe technical understanding. So there's actually quite a lot of law already that covers this kind of thing. There's going to be the online safety bill that's making its way through Parliament and through the legislative process at the minute that might change things even further. But I think there's a hint that we've heard in the messaging today that what the government are asking for is the platforms to comply when the police ask them to, and that really is probably going to be about the safest and most straightforward thing for them to do.
The government's proposing some large fines if social media companies fail to remove and limit the spread of harmful content. How workable is that?
Well, they are, but the new legislation that's coming in is more about introducing systems and procedures to deter this kind of harm. If they're asked to take content down, then the platforms tend to do so pretty quickly. But when the new regulations come in, we're going to be talking fines similar to what we've seen with data protection legislation recently. But also we're going to see the introduction of what's referred to as business disruption measures, which could see platforms cut off from a UK audience or potentially their functionality limited as well. So it's quite a wide-ranging set of sanctions that they'll have available.
And given the international nature of the internet, you mentioned about, potentially companies being cut off from the UK. Does this need international cooperation between countries?
Well, the point of this new law is it's going to be extraterritorial, so just because somebody's based outside the UK doesn't mean they're going to escape its reach. If they've got a user base in the UK, then they would fall under it. But what's come out of the online safety bill, the online harms white paper recently, is a recognition that there does need to be an international approach to tackle this kind of problem. And even though we're introducing our own legislation, we're still going to cooperate internationally as well.
Well, Steve Kuncewicz from the BLM Law, social media legal expert. Thank you for joining us here on LBC News to explain some of the news.